If you want to grow as a leader, you've got two choices. You can sit around and wait to be drafted into a high potential program, or you could build your own high potential program. Hey leader, David Burkus here, organizational psychologist and author of 4 best-selling books on helping leaders and teams do their best work ever, including helping leaders and aspiring leaders grow their leadership skills. But leaders are constant learners, and aspiring leaders have a few things they need to learn to demonstrate that they're ready to be in that leadership role. And even if you're sort of unintentionally drafted into that leadership role, there's a few things you need to be constantly aware of to keep growing and developing your leadership skills. So in this episode, we're going to talk about 6 ways that you can develop your leadership skills, 6 activities to keep engaging in, to keep growing and keep developing as a leader. Let's get started. The first way to develop your leadership skills is to be disciplined. You know, there's a saying, there's a number of different leadership experts that are attributed to saying it, but if you want to lead other people, you first need to lead yourself. And I find that quote kind of redundant, but there's a true element to it. People are not going to lead someone who is undisciplined, someone who's constantly late, someone who's always missing key information or missing deadlines on their own work, someone that they don't aspire to almost be like. In fact, in transformational leadership theory, this is actually called idealized influence, this idea that we seek to be like them. Take a good look at how you're working right now and see where you could introduce a little bit of discipline, new systems in place that'll help you hit your goals, help you make sure you're not missing out on information. That's also going to help you get noticed as a potential leader because you're growing in your own ability to perform, which will make people look at you and think, maybe they could teach a team how to perform better. Maybe I should put them in charge of a team. So be disciplined not only to be a better leader, but to be seen as a potential leader. The second way to grow your leadership skills is to take initiative. What can you volunteer for on the team you're on now? I mean, if you're already in a leadership role, you're going to have a lot of initiative handed to you. But if you're seeking to get into a leadership role, there's a variety of different projects and additional tasks that come up every once in a while in team meetings or through company announcements that you can take initiative and begin. When you see a problem, that is sort of a little hint, or it should be a little hint in your brain that this is something I can take an initiative toward building a solution to. And when you do that, not only are you going to grow the technical skills that are required to develop that, you're going to be seen as someone who is a go-getter, you're going to be seen as someone who is a problem solver, and you're going to be seen as somebody who we can put some more trust and faith in as an organization. There's a little side benefit here too, which is if you're taking initiative and starting new projects and new solutions and new programs, you're much more likely to end up becoming the lead person in that program. So you're not only going to be developing your leadership skills by taking initiative, being seen as a better leader by taking initiative, you're going to be a leader because if that solution grows, if that thing you took initiative on grows, they're eventually going to appoint you into the formal position of leader as well. The next way to grow your leadership skills is to listen well to everyone on your team, to your customers, to your clients. Practice the skill of active listening. Why? Leaders need to be great communicators, and so much of communication is listening, or at the very least, so much of poor communication stems from a lack of listening to the other people you're trying to send and receive messages to. So take the time to listen. Take the time to speak last in group discussions. Make sure you understand everyone else's perspectives, their point of views, their potential solutions, and then offer your sort of summary take on them or offer ideas that build on them. Listen for the things you can build upon instead of listen for the ways you can fight for the rightness of your ideas. One will get you seen as a leader and the other will get you seen as an adversary. So listen well to lead well. The fourth way to develop your leadership skills is to handle conflicts. And I don't mean like constantly be the referee and that sort of thing, but often there are conflicts, especially between peers in a team or in an organization, that go unnoticed by those in a formal leadership role. And you don't want to step in and be the gossiping person who's playing off both sides, but you can be the role of peacemaker. And in doing so, you're going to have to develop a really important leadership skill, which is understanding and empathizing with the perspectives of 2 people who are in conflict. This is difficult. It's going to be really easy to take a side, and poor leaders often do take a side. But good leaders recognize that they're really going to need to understand both arguments before they can make a call with discernment. on who's actually right and how we should move forward. And the best way to grow that discernment, the best way to grow that empathy on both sides is by stepping in and trying to handle conflicts that you're seeing between peers on your team. Again, not in a gossipy way, not in a way that's playing people off each other, but in a way where when you see conflict that's happening and you don't see your appointed leaders stepping in, or maybe they don't even notice it, you offer to be that peacemaker, you offer to be that perspective taker, and you'll end up being a better leader. The fifth way to develop leadership skills is to offer help. And this is sort of like take initiative, but it's specifically taking initiative in areas where you see other teammates struggling. You want to offer help if you can provide it. Anytime you see somebody saying something is blocking their progress, or anytime you notice they're struggling to make a specific deadline, you want to see if there's any way to help. Now, a caveat here, don't just say, how can I help? When you say, how can I help, you've basically just given them another assignment, which is to figure out how can you help. But when you see someone struggling with something that you've got even a little bit of ability in, volunteer to help in a very specific way that you can think of. And this is going to do two things. I mean, number one, it's going to get you seen as a helper. It's going to get you seen as a team player, which is going to get you seen as a leader. But you'd be surprised how much you can learn when you offer help. If you're offering help to someone, especially when their role is not exactly like your role, maybe you're on the same functional team or project team, but you have different tasks and assignments. And when you start to help them, you start to learn about their role, which means you start to see the organization at a higher level and how everyone is interdependent to each other. And that's something pretty much every leader needs to see. Poor leaders think that their team and their department is the most important, and great leaders understand how interdependent every single team inside a larger organization is. And offering to help other people, especially in other departments or in other functional roles, is the best way to grow that ability to see the whole organization at a higher level. And the last way to develop skills as a leader is to keep learning. Keep seeking out new experiences, keep learning new information, keep learning things that are outside of your traditional areas of expertise. You know, some people have 5, 10, 15 years of experience, and some people have 1 year of experience repeated 15 times. Be the former, not the latter. Look for ways you can keep learning. Pay attention to what you're reading, pay attention to what you're watching, what you're interacting with online through a variety of different programs. Pay attention to where you're growing and make sure you're growing in a diverse set of areas. You never know when you're going to tap into that random knowledge that comes from that esoteric class is going to be. You don't know because you don't know what your path as a leader is going to look like. But you know that leaders are learners, so keep learning. And while keep learning is the final method, the final way to develop your leadership skills, you could really apply keep in front of all of these. Keep taking initiative, keep handling conflicts, keep offering help, keep going because you're going to keep developing. Poor leaders, almost toxic leaders, think that they're done at a certain point. They got the title and they don't need to grow anymore. But great leaders know that if they continue to grow, if they keeping to develop their leadership skills, there's no limit on their leadership, and that means there's no limit on the level of performance they're going to achieve and the level of performance they're going to take their whole team to. There's no limit on the definition of what their team's best work ever will be. Oh, and one more thing. This episode is really about how to develop leadership skills, but you're probably wondering what skills you need to develop. So you're going to check out this video here on the 5 skills all leaders need to develop. In fact, you're going to want to keep watching so you can watch this video too and learn those skills.